We keep hearing there will be food shortages. It's going to be food shortages. You can have a food shortage. They've got a food shortage over here. Looking at a food shortage here. Not going to have any bacon. Remember when that was a big thing? And maybe we won't. Remember when bacon? Have you bought bacon lately? I mean, there was bacon that was like $11 for a half pound. Some of it was like $7, $8, $9. But there was some gourmet bacon that was like $11 for just, I don't know, what is that? A pound of bacon? I don't know, a container? Whatever it is. That's wild. So the FBI is warning us of cyber attacks on U.S. food plants after a dozen were hit by mysterious fires. Now, fires. I was kind of thinking, cyber attacks, yeah, that one makes sense. Actual fires? How is nobody getting caught? How is there not surveillance tape on how this is going, how these fires are mysteriously being set? Because more than one fire becomes more than just a random thing, right? It's like, all right, there's a pattern here. What's the dealio? This is what we're talking about today. Cyber attacks on U.S. food plants after a dozen hit by mysterious fires. What's going on? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies, and I read this kind of news. It's what we're doing. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being here. Let's get into it. Federal Bureau of Investigation Cyber Division issued a statement last week warning of potential ransomware attacks against the agricultural industry as more than a dozen food processing plants across the United States suffered damage from mysterious fires. Somebody knows what this is, right? I mean, somebody does. I mean, we know what's going on. We're just not being told. And by we, I mean the authorities that be. Cyber actors may perceive agricultural cooperatives as lucrative targets with a willingness to pay due to the time-sensitive role they play in agricultural production, the FBI notice warned. What does that even mean? Use a bunch of words word salad to kind of get out your message and maybe not make it quite as clear. It just means that the people growing the food, they're vulnerable because they're part of a bigger deal and they know it. So the criminals are going to go after them. They're lucrative targets. That's apparently what the FBI is saying, right? A significant disruption of grain production could impact the entire food chain, since grain is not only consumed by humans, but also used for animal feed, it added. In addition, a significant disruption of grain and corn production could impact commodities trading and stocks. An attack that disrupts processing at a protein or a dairy facility can quickly result in spoiled products and have cascading effects down to the farm level as animals cannot be processed. So is this what's going on? Are these fires? Is that their intended purpose? I don't know. It's not, this article kind of throws out, wow, this could happen. This might be going on. Not really sure, but could. The FBI's warning recommended several steps to mitigate cyber threats, including regularly backing up data, implementing a recovery plan, requiring administrative credentials to install software, focusing on cybersecurity awareness and training, and more. I think those are all always great things, but if somebody wants to hack your system, they're gonna. That's the bottom line. They're gonna figure out a way to get in and they're gonna hack you. So yeah, all these recommendations like, do this, do that. Last week, an image circulated on social media showing a compilation of news headlines highlighting fires at 18 food processing facilities over the past 6 months. So now we've got more than a dozen. We got a dozen and a half. We're up to 18. This is a tweet from the Wall Street Silver. This is an odd coincidence, ... 18 U.S. food processing facilities burned down in the last 6 months. Azure Standard's headquarters burned down yesterday. Coincidence or something else? Far more mysterious going on. Don't know. I mean, that's why we're reading this story. Is there a link? Is this what's going on? Will we have a food shortage? Things we need to consider. Also last week, Fox News host Tucker Carlson highlighted that for the second time in 1 week, a plane crashed into a food processing plant. All right, on purpose? Don't really know, but that does seem weird, right? I mean, it's strange that this is all happening at one time. And by strange, I mean more than coincidental. Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire, Tucker added. So industrial accidents happen, of course, but this is a lot of industrial accidents at food processing facilities. At the same time, the president is warning us about food shortages. 10% for the big guy and no food. Is that what we're looking at? Is that what's going on? Hard to say. One of the reasons I want to read this article is because Jason Rants from Seattle here has a take on it. Why are so many food processing plants and warehouses catching fire all of a sudden? And as I was sitting in the studio getting ready for the report, a plane crashed into a General Mills food facility in Georgia. He went on Tucker Carlson and he talked about it. It's just kind of crazy. So, and Jason Rants calls the series of food processing plant fires suspicious. Obviously, when something happens every so often, you obviously hope that there is no significant damage, and certainly nobody got hurt, but you kind of write it off. It's not that big of a deal. Accidents happen, Rants said. But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, kind of makes you go, doesn't it? It does. It does to me. And that's why I wanted to read this story, because you keep hearing about, we're going to have a food shortage. Not going to have any bacon. And the bacon story was something totally different. I can't remember. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we had to shut down the meat plants, and the meat plants that handled pork and bacon, they had something go sideways with them. Maybe they got shut down. I can't remember. And so people flipped out when they realized, I might not get my bacon. Bacon might get really expensive. And it did. It's obviously going to be suspicious when you've got these crazy fires going on and stuff. But it could lead to serious food shortages. Yes, it could. And that's why we're concerned. What is the dealio? That's why some folks are now wondering, well, number one, what's going on? That's kind of my concern is, what's the deal there? Why is that happening? That's more, 18? That is way more than just coincident. You've got some people speculating this might be an intentional way to disrupt the food supply, Rants said. Does the big guy know something that he's not sharing with us beyond the 10%? Beyond the, who was it? It was one of Hunter Biden's business associates visiting the White House, 27 times, 26 times, something like that. But, you know, I'm sure he wasn't up to anything that wasn't official business or anything like that. It's kind of like the folks that visited Jeffrey Epstein's island 26 times, somewhere in the mid-20s. They were there just because they like to fly, and it's a beautiful island, and they go there and, hang out, and then they fly back, and, just business as usual. In March, President Joe Biden warned of impending global food shortages that he said would be caused by sanctions imposed on Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. All right. Well, we know we've got a lot of, we got stuff going on all over globally, right? I mean, we just do. But this story here in the U.S., this is one where you're like, this seems weird. With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages, and it's going to be real, Biden said. Well, it's going to be even more real if this stuff keeps going on. So what do we have going on? Is this part of a greater plan to basically wreak havoc on the infrastructure, on just society in general? I don't know. Seems pretty weird to me, but if you were to go after something that's really going to impact people, food would be one of them. How about you get that inflation going? Just jack up that inflation, see where it goes. How about you raise the price of gas? A lot. Yeah, all of these things happening at one time. It's interesting, right? It does kind of make you go, what's the dealio? Maybe there's an explanation. Let's be reasonable. We're reasonable here. We look at tough stuff. We look at tough topics, but we try and apply a reasonable approach. This one, cyber attacks on U.S. food plants after a dozen hit by mysterious fires. That almost sounds like something that should be on Alex Jones, right? It just should. And then you're like, okay, but no, this is a regular news story. We've got regular news channels covering this. What is the dealio? Don't know, but I will keep this storyline front and center because I think there's stuff going on here that we need to be aware of. It's reasonable to question why this is happening. All right, this is a short one, but it's kind of an intro on this topic. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And we've got merch. Yeah, I haven't really talked about it much, but we've got some merch going on. Check our store on the YouTube channel. I think that's where it is. I should probably know more about this. I really should. And I should tell you, but I'd rather just read the news. That's reasonable, right? All right. Thanks for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk on the next one. Bye for now.